Hi, this is Dr. Tracey McCarthy, psychologist, attorney, and educator, and welcome to the community classroom. Glad to have you here. Want to touch on an issue that is popping up quite a bit in different conversations, and it's the issue of self-love and putting oneself first, making oneself a priority. One of the things that's happening is that people are being guilted into not loving themselves first. They are being given the message that it is important or more important to love others more than they love themselves or before they love themselves, that they need to make others a priority over themselves individually, their families, their communities, their states, their countries. And when people evidence any sense of prioritizing themselves, then they are given messages of guilt. And here's the deal. Self-love is important to having a happy, healthy, and well-adjusted life. If you are not loving yourself, if you are not prioritizing yourself, if you're not caring for yourself first and foremost, you don't have anything to give to anyone else. Now, I know that people receive messages that the contrary is true, but those messages are false. They are not accurate. They are not real. They really are a form of gaslighting, attempting to shame people into this idea that they need to love other people even more than they love themselves, and they need to do it first and foremost. And if they don't do it, then there's something wrong with them. There is this growing philosophy that people actually have the capacity to care for other people much more than they care for themselves. And again, it's simply not true. There is a prime directive, if you will, that people take care of themselves first. It's self-preservation. And you've heard the saying about putting the mask on yourself first on an airplane before you put it on a baby or before you try to help someone else. But sometimes people are encouraged to do it in the reverse. And part of that is a head game. Sometimes people get their self-esteem from playing head games with themselves. And some of those head games involve things like feigned altruism, feigned prioritizing others over the self. And when I first noticed that this was becoming a really big issue was actually in a previous election, and the conversations have grown where there was this talk of America first. And many people, just really sort of freaked out at the idea that a country, a sovereign, would advance the notion of prioritizing itself. Now, I'm not talking about prioritizing self in terms of abusing someone else, but simply making a determination to nurture self first, to love self first, to take care of self first, whatever that means. And it starts with the individual. It starts at an individual level. And so it is important that people pour into self everything that self needs to sustain self. And so it's important to love self first and then give to others from a space of overflow. You should never dip into a half-empty cup in order to try to fill someone else up. Okay, and so, but what the message that people are receiving is that that's exactly what they should be doing. And it's really a fallacy. When you take care of yourself and you love yourself and you nurture yourself and you care for yourself and you honor and respect yourself, you will have that much more to give to someone else. And so it really does need to be you first. As long as you're not hurting anyone else, you first. And then that extends to you and your partnership, you and your family first, your children first, your neighborhood, your community, your state, your country, your region of the world, your planet first. And so it doesn't matter where we are. If you're in Ghana, Ghana first. And then your tribe first in Ghana, you first, your clan, your family first. When you think about working somewhere, whether you're working for yourself or you're working for another organization, let's say it's a grocery organization, it's a grocery store chain. Well, if you are working for a grocery store chain, and there are other grocery store chains out there, and we'll say competing grocery store chains because we talk in the language of competition versus cooperation, but it doesn't matter whether you're talking about competition or cooperation. When you work at a particular grocery store, your priority is meeting the goals and the mission and the objectives of that grocery store chain. You don't spend time trying to figure out how to prioritize the grocery store chain across town over your mission. If it's your personal business, you don't take all of your time and energy and focus it on making sure that someone else's business across town is successful before you take care of your own. If you have food in your house, even though there may be some hungry children on the street, you make sure that the children that are in your house under your roof have actually been fed before you go running around the neighborhood and running around town trying to feed everyone else. The same thing applies to yourself. You make sure that you are taken care of before you run around trying to nurture and take care of and meet the needs of everyone else. And this extends to family members. This extends to demographic groups. Sometimes people try to make people feel guilty about prioritizing their demographic group. And so it can be, we can use individuals who identify as white, or individuals who identify as black, or individuals who identify as any other color, or any other racial or ethnic group. When those individuals start to prioritize themselves, or they say, themselves first, people outside of them often get upset and feel like, that is a really selfish thing to do. Self-care, taking care of self, putting self first, prioritizing self over other people. And it may be what you might consider a selfish thing to do, but you must prioritize that which you are first. You have to take care of you first before you can take care of anybody else. And quite frankly, with just average human beings, when average human beings are able to take care of themselves and make sure that their basic needs are met and they are well cared for, that they are caring for themselves, then they have a lot more energy and motivation to reach out and help others. Usually when people start having a sense of intense competition and wanting to bring other people down, I'm talking about normal people here now, I'm not talking about psychopaths and pathological narcissists, but just normal people, just regular, everyday, average people. When they have taken care of themselves, they usually have an interest in reaching out and helping others. And the others don't have to be right next door, but just helping others, period, because they have taken care of self first. And so when you hear Spain saying Spain first, it's okay. It really is okay for Spain to say Spain first. Spain would be in a really weird position if Spain were saying Germany first, or if Spain were saying Sweden first, or if Jamaica was saying Togo first, or Haiti first, or, you know, you really have to think about taking care of yourself and making sure that your needs are met. And there's nothing wrong with it. It really is the way to go. And as long as you are not hurting anyone else, prioritizing you is your obligation. And then you spread that out. So don't let other people make you feel guilty about taking care of you. I made another video talking about boundaries. And when people don't have really good boundaries, they don't respect other people's boundaries. And so therefore, they will often demand that you prioritize them. So there's a flip to that whole people getting upset when someone, puts themselves first. When someone else gets upset about that, what they're basically saying is they want you to put them first. And that's a ridiculous demand and request. And they are letting you know then that they are operating from a space of narcissism. Okay, so you don't put other people, you don't put their well-being in ahead of yours. You can put it on par with yours if you'd like, but you do need to prioritize yourself. And when other people are demanding that you prioritize them, you need to step back and think about what that relationship is really all about. And I mean that on an individual level, on a family level, a community level, a state, country level. I mean it on all levels. And you need to really think about what those demands really are about. And boundaries are healthy. Boundaries are healthy things. When people don't have good boundaries, they are not operating from a space of health. And when they are demanding that you don't have good boundaries, they are wanting you to join in with them on that journey of dysfunction. And so what I really want you to think about is you are worthy of your own love. If you do not love you, who will? As a matter of fact, who should love you if you don't love you?